Appearance hasn't been an issue in the past, especially on baggers, because the shock is hidden behind. But we know chrome is king, and a lot of times they won't buy it unless it's chrome. Or here's a new look that we have on the Ultra Touring shock for 2010. Also nice looking. Also, sadly, is going to be covered up by the bags. But if they ride with the bags off, they've got an item to show and display. Last one's a worn item. And again, like we talked a few minutes ago, just because there's no sign of oil leaking or rust on the chrome doesn't mean it's worn out. Not worn out. It is, most likely. This is absolutely the number one most overlooked adjustment of our shocks, even on the factory shocks, is the preload setting. And it's so critical to the ride quality, getting it dialed in, getting the bike dialed in. We ship all our shocks at the softest setting because we don't know what that end customer body weight's going to be. So it's up to you if you're installing or if you're selling to a consumer. It's up to them to make this adjustment, and it's so simple. And they can do it on their stock bike as well because the OEs provide that feature as well. And it's simply taking let's envision this is a 13-inch shock, out of the box, put it on the bike, and have the rider, the owner of the bike, sit on it, and you want it to sag or compress about an inch. We say 1/3 of the available travel. For discussion purposes, an inch is safe. If you've got a 3 inches of travel shock, then yes, 1 inch you want it to sag. But if you've gone to a shorter shock, say a 2-inch travel, available travel, and then you're looking at maybe only 3/4 of an inch of sag. Obviously, you want to set the travel about 1/3 of the way in. The point of it is, as you go over a pothole, for example, you want travel in that down direction, because the job of the damper is keep the tire in contact with the pavement at all times. Conversely, if you hit that pothole bump, you now want travel available in this direction. So the same thing. You want this part of the shock never to move. You want this to do all the work. If it's set with no preload, like a strut, what's going to happen when it goes over the pothole? It's going to drop the whole bike down into the hole, or over the bump, it's going to catapult them off the seat. I mean, it's just real simple, but so sadly overlooked. Like I said, the number one complaint we get on phone calls or emails to the corporate offices is, we bought a set of your shocks, they ride like, garbage. And what do you mean? Where'd you set your preload is always our first question back at them, and there's silence. And it's like, aha. So they'll go and make the adjustment, and in most cases they're happy. .412. I like to call our product line Good, Better, Best. Good being the .412 series. Great upgrade from the stock shock, stock factory shock. We sell the most of these because their price point is only $300 retail, give or take. Come with a lifetime warranty on the spring, a 1-year warranty on the damper or the rest of the components, and it's a good improvement for the value for what you're paying. What I'd like to cover throughout this presentation today is what are the differences. Why a 412, a 430, and a 440? And really, the heart of it is in the damper. This series we call the damper a twin tube. It's a common damper used automotive as well as OE environment, but I'll pass this around here in a second. It's just as the name implies, it's a tube within a tube. So you have this inner tube where the piston is attached to the rod. So as it compresses, and rebounds, it's just moving fluid from the inner tube to the outer tube, and then as it rebounds, it sucks it back out under nitrogen gas charge. So it's a better way to dampen. You get a little more control. There's obviously more going on in there, but when we compare this to a stock shock that we talked about earlier, where it's just air and oil and a little helper spring, it's a great improvement over that for a great price point. We have the 812 series shock, which is, I call the 412 in camouflage. it's the 412. So adjustment, performance, warranty, all those features are the same. The only difference is it comes with a decorative cover on the eyelet, mounting eyelets, and then over the coil spring. And there's 4 versions: a single, a dual cut, a vintage, which is a solid full chrome cover, which is actually quite popular, and then the flame. It's interesting to see how the market shifts. When the flame came out initially, it was our most popular selling of this, and then we introduced the vintage, and then everybody jumped from the flame over to the vintage, and it's, you know, which one will be next kind of a thing. But ride quality wise, it's the 412. Item in that same family for the 812s is the shock light. This fits any 412 series shock, or if you have a 812 for a customer and they just want to add this light feature. It's a molded in printed circuit board with 10 LEDs on it, and when it's off it looks like it's solid chrome because it's a tinted lens, but when it's hooked up to the run, turn, or brake, it lights up as you see in the picture here. The key being you can complement the bullet lights, because this is pre-wired to fit Dynas and Sportsters. Everything else it will fit on, you'd have to cut and crimp, but it's pre-connected, so it's a plug and play. It also comes with a load balancer, so if you've got to get an application consumer who wants to add their brake light feature to it as well, you can get rid of the bullet lights and the brake light and run it through here. Local laws permitting, of course, but got to get that one in. These retail for like $1.80 for the pair, and they fit 412s.